Welcome to Uncorked and Unscripted, the podcast and video series that gives you VIP access to the unscripted stories of people I've met through events. In this episode of Uncorked and Unscripted, Queen of Celebrity Event Speakers Jennifer Best joins us to explain the world of booking event entertainers and celebrity speakers. Now, uncork your favorite beverage and listen up as we spend the next half hour unscripted. Hello and welcome back to Uncorked and Unscripted. I am your host, Addie Graham Kramer. Today we have someone that I've known for quite some time in the events industry. We've never officially talked like this in person. She did just so carefully remind me that we met virtually in a virtual booth a few years back. But welcome to the show, Jennifer Best.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me to come and chat with you. And it is great to finally meet you in person.
So we have had the opportunity to work with Jen and her team at AAE, which is All American Entertainment, for many, many, many years throughout events and booking speakers and entertainers and all different kinds of individuals at some of our events, but we've never had the opportunity to dive into conversation. But you're quite an interesting catch for that team. So I'm excited to learn.
Well, I hope you'll tell them that.
Yeah. Is there a comment box that I can fill out or employee recognition? But
LinkedIn, it's cool.
Yeah. Well, before we dive completely into everything, one of the things that we ask each of our attendees and our guest on the podcast is if you could be any kind of drink that would describe you, this is the uncorked part of it, what kind of drink would describe Jen?
So I would say I just got back from a trip with my girls to Sonoma, California.
Okay. Yeah.
So I would have to say a nice glass of Pinot. Because it gets better with age.
Oh, good.
It definitely adapts to the environment. It changes and adapts and it pivots. And it's just classic. So I'd go with that.
How long were you there?
It was about 5 days. I am fortunate, humble brag, fortunate to have a friend who has a winery and vineyard there. So she's been asking to host us, and we all got on planes and headed out there. We're on the East Coast here, and it was an incredible trip.
Well, good for you. Yeah. You are in the East Coast, so you are originally from New Jersey, right?
Originally New Jersey.
Yeah.
I keep
and
heading
now you're in
south.
The Carolinas.
Now in North Carolina. Our offices are in Durham, North Carolina.
Yeah, beautiful area. I love the Carolinas.
It's great here. I love it down here.
Yeah. How long have you been down there?
This is the fun story. I moved down here during the pandemic. So when I started with AAE, it was March 16th of 2020.
So crazy.
And if you're checking the calendar, yes, that was like the first day of lockdown. It was my first day here. We were in the process of building a house, and the house was still well under construction for another couple months. So my sister and brother-in-law got a quarantine roommate and a puppy. And I was there for a while until the house was ready. So
wow, what an interesting time for you.
I just was like, what am I doing here? But I think it was interesting because you talked about my background being, it's pretty diverse, and I've worked in a lot of different B2B spaces, but this is my first foray on this side of the entertainment industry. But I think it actually helped me showing up when I did, because I'd been well-versed in virtual events. I've been attending them. I've been hosting them. And so when I got here and all of a sudden everything was quiet and crickets, I kind of went to what I knew. And I was very much like a cheerleader for that internally, along with a couple of other coworkers of mine. And we were able to make that shift happen pretty quickly.
Good for you guys. And did you move right into the VP of marketing role? Is that the role that you took, or were you in something different 4 years ago?
I think my first title was senior director. And then about a year and a half in, I was promoted out to VP.
Good for you. What do you love about what you're doing day in and day out? Like, tell us.
Oh, gosh. You know what? I've been lucky to market technology.
Yeah.
And healthcare, but those are things that people don't want to think about. They don't want to think about getting breached in a data hack. They don't want to think about getting sick and needing, advanced medical care. But when it comes to this stuff, when I get to tell people what I meet, that I get to market speakers and celebrities and
Yeah,
entertainers.
it's so
It feels like
awesome.
a bonus job. Like,
Yeah.
how did I get here? Like,
Right.
this is
I
cool.
always say that about our industry in general. I think events in general, like there is rarely people that are coming to events that do not want to be there, unless they're our spouses and we're dragging them there. But for the most part, people are buying a ticket, they're willing to participate, they're there for a purpose. Same thing on the event side. Like we get to make people happy every day. We've kind of coined the phrase over the last 11 years of like we build dreams and it's all through events. And that's what we have the opportunity to do. Same with you. You know, you're working with different celeb speakers, pro speakers, like just a gamut of people, some that are just starting in the industry, you know, and you've got this really awesome opportunity to get to be able to promote what they do and the benefit for people like us, you know, to bring them into the mix.
Hmm. Yeah, it's really fun to watch when you've got a speaker that maybe isn't, they're kind of emerging into the paid speaking space, and then you see them sort of take off. It's really cool to watch that happening and seeing the traction that they get. It's been really rewarding, and I think some of the most rewarding parts of the job come from working with speakers that are maybe not as well-known celebrity names,
Mhm.
but people that you get clips of them speaking to an audience, say on mental health or suicide awareness, things like that, where you feel like you're actually impacting the lives of the people sitting there because we were able to facilitate that. And that's the part I think that really appeals to me the most, is that it feels like we're helping change lives and give people
Right.
experiences that are memorable and helpful for them,
Yeah.
by just this one part of what we do.
Agree. Agree. We say that a lot in on the event planning side and the design side too, because people think you've seen the movie The Wedding Planner, right, with
Oh
Jennifer
yeah.
Lopez. Okay, so people think that's what we do day in and day out, right? Like we're running around with our little headsets, which we do have, which we have the headsets, and we're like in these tight mini skirt suit sets, and we're just that's what we're doing
Of
day in and day
course.
out. That is truly the smallest part, the design part. It's all of the logistics, but why we're there, whether it is, yes, cancer, suicide, whatever it happens to look like, whether it's a big fundraiser or it's a speaking engagement, like we are in the same realm, have this pretty cool part of the event to say like, wow, we did that. And for us, I mean, you as well, I mean, you're a part of different fundraisers as well. And when you look at some of the numbers to see how that one speaker has helped to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars, that's the part that is not easily replicated, and that's the part that gives me the goosebumps day in and day out of what we do.
Agree completely.
Yeah, it's
Definitely.
fun. So you were in tech and medical. What you owned your own company as well? Like talk to us about this
You're going
journey.
back
Like
into the deep archive.
yeah, so yeah, we
Um,
found a lot of good stuff
well,
about you on the
I did say that I
interwebs.
was vintage. So, I mean, I'm not a newbie. So,
I want to
I got my
hear.
start. I have a marketing degree, and I'm actually, I joke about it. I'm like, I actually do what I learned in school. But when my younger two were babies, which they are now grown men, when my younger two were babies, I wanted to start my own business from home. And so I was trying to figure out what could that be, and I knew I wanted something with technology and something that was creative, but I had no concept of what the thing was. And then I learned about websites. Now this is like in the year 2000. Okay, so websites were just starting to be really, really ugly
Mhm.
and basic, and nobody knew how to do anything, and there were no tools to do it for somebody to go in and just do it like they have today. So I taught myself, I took a class in HTML and I taught myself how to do website design.
Wow.
And then I volunteered for an organization that, like a nonprofit that I was involved with. It said, how about I maintain your website or update your website? I'm trying to learn these things. And then about a year later than that, one of the members of that organization was a lawyer. And he's like, can you build our website law? Our law firm needs a website, and can you build it for us? And they're like, how much do you charge? And I'm like, I'll get back to you. I had no idea. No idea what to charge. But
Yeah.
I mean, almost all of my business came from networking and referrals. I was really, really fortunate. I was in business really probably from around 2002 to 2008. Um, in 2008, I was nominated by the local, this was up in Maryland, but the local Small Business Development Center for an SBA award. So they reached out to me and said,
Incredible.
hey, would you, mind? I think we should nominate you for this, I think it's called Home Based Business Champion. And I was like, well, I am a home based business and I work with a lot of people who are like small and home based and nonprofits. So sure. And so they wrote the submission, and I ended up winning,
Congrats
but
to
I
you. That's
really
awesome.
underestimated what the thing was. So they said to me, they're like, you won for the state of Maryland and for region 2 or 3. And I was like, is that this county and the next county? They're like, no, that's the whole mid-Atlantic. And I was like,
Look at you.
oh, okay. So I was really, really proud of that. I mean, it was a little bit bittersweet though, because it came at a time, obviously 2008 makes everybody go a little, oh. So we all know what happened to the economy in 2008. And I was working predominantly with startups that were no longer, not just not starting up, they were folding. And so I made the tough choice at that point to jump into the workforce with what I learned. And that's when I got into the corporate side again. But I mean, I loved being a business owner and I loved doing freelance marketing and working with clients. It was a lot of fun.
Well, congrats on the award. I
No,
mean,
thanks.
you blew up obviously to get to where you're at now. It's interesting. So I went to school when you're talking about like you're actually using your degree. I went to school for criminal justice and poli-sci.
Oh,
And
yeah,
I I am not using that skill set, but some of the things that I learned, obviously, like from the debate side of things, and we deal with so many legalities in events and
that's true.
fire
That's
marshals
true.
and attorneys and all the things. So, yes, I feel like I learned a lot, but am I taking my criminal background and defense attorney pieces to I not yet. I haven't yet, and I hope not, but I mean, we'll see what happens, but
But I think it's
congrats to
also,
you.
I mean, that's got to be a good background to have with for negotiation, and you're
Oh,
always
of
in negotiation
course.
mode.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it is. But
Yeah,
so
very cool.
in your day to day, like what's your team look like? I don't even know the team. I mean, we work so closely with Jasmine at your company. And so she's just our go-to and has for many years. And we've worked with a few other individuals
And
in that time
she
frame
says hi,
too.
by the way.
Oh, good,
Um,
good.
so our marketing team really, when I started, we sort of restructured it and rebuilt it up. And so I've got a couple on my team here that help me, and we do mostly client relationships, clients being event organizers, event planners like you. And then we also have a dedicated team that handles all the talent relationships.
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
they're the ones constantly reaching out and working with other agency partners. So a lot of my focus is on brand, demand generation, our websites and website visibility, all of the core communications that happened with our event audience, and trying to make sure that everybody knows the speakers that are emerging, speakers that are popular, the
Hmm.
trends and the topics. One of the products that we created was the benchmark report,
Yeah, I was
which you
just going
probably
to
have
say the
seen.
benchmark is so awesome.
Oh,
It's
thank
so
you.
good. I've actually subscribed in my personal email, in my work email, because I'll get it. And then, yeah, I absolutely love it. And I know it's incredible. So good job. Kudos to you.
Yeah,
We share it with the
it
team.
is a big project. So I think, we're hopefully in 2025 going to be reinventing it in a way that could be meaningful. So maybe we can connect after this and I
Yeah.
get some input
Well,
from you.
for those that are
Help.
listening, because we have quite a few industry professionals that are listening, tell us a little bit more about what the benchmark looks like. Like, what's the study and the report look
Sure,
like?
sure. This started up, our first one was published in 2022. And this is what is, I don't know if it still is, but I think it was definitely the first um, data report that brought together the sentiments from event planners and the sentiments from speakers. Our goal was really to increase transparency in the industry because we work on both sides of the transaction and we wanted to make it smoother. So we thought, well, gosh, people who are speakers don't seem to really know how event planners are thinking and working, and vice versa. So we thought we would bring some clarity to that. So we started doing the survey, and we've done all of that in house. And
Kudos
we
to you
started
guys.
asking those
Wow.
questions.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a big lift. It's a big lift. So we just, and also I think part of the challenge, and you'll understand this one, you're busy. Like you don't have time always to sit down and digest a 30-page
Right. Right.
deep dive. There's bits and pieces of it. So we're trying to figure out how can we make it, more recurring through the year, maybe smaller bits and bites. We're still thinking about it, but there are 3 editions of the report. There's 22, 23, and 24. And then this year we also broke out into like mini reports. So the 3 main areas that we focused on were corporate, university, and nonprofit associations. So it gives a little bit more granularity about that industry specifically, because it's hard when you're in one industry comparing with data in
Oh, of
another.
course, of course. And from our side, our focus is on the corporate and the nonprofit, some social piece, but we work a lot in that association area. And for us, I think why I found it beneficial from the report side is yes, you're bridging those two communities together from speakers and event teams or other clients, but you're asking us questions like, how soon in advance are you planning these events? And like the topics? Is it panel? Is it Q&A? Like there's just so many good questions in there that help us to be able to communicate that then into our clients and vice versa. It does create some good conversation because there are things like I'm not a professional speaker and I don't know what it's like and their day in, day out. And are they booking a year in advance? Is it 2 months? Those are pieces that we don't know. And from their side,
Mhm.
from a speaker's side, they know, well, through the report, of course, but that we are seeking venues sometimes 2, 3, 4 years out. And yeah, we're booking speakers even further out than that, perhaps. So everybody is so, so, so different. But that's what I feel like the studies helped to bring
Yeah, and
people
it's been
together.
interesting too to watch, those timelines. You mentioned booking timelines. The pandemic threw things completely into out of whack, and then once things started coming back and live events started coming back, people still weren't adapting to the
Oh,
new
yeah, yeah. Oh,
timeline that
agree.
you
Yeah,
needed to go
agree.
back
Agree.
to get
Yeah.
the right speaker. So
Yeah. Because that first report
it's
was
been an
22.
adventure.
The first report was 22, you said?
Yes,
Yeah.
2022.
Yeah. So
So
we're still in a comeback from that
yes.
year. Yeah. Good
So
for you. So
thanks.
I know that you are a big hiker from all your socials and I follow you
Oh my
religiously. So I
gosh.
know you're a big hiker, but what's your personal day look like? Like, are you an early riser? Are you a coffee? What's your day look
Oh,
like before you get into the office?
I'm not a late night owl, so I'm probably more of a morning person, but I'm not one of those peppy wake up in the morning and start bouncing around the house
Yeah.
people.
Just take your time.
Yeah, I'm definitely a homebody. Days say like I'm not going and coming into the office. We're in a hybrid situation, so we come in 2 days a week. I live probably about almost an hour from here.
Okay.
And so I take the back roads because it's a little more chill
Mm-hmm.
than getting
Mm-hmm.
on the highway. Um, and like a typical day on a weekend, like, yeah, my husband and I have started taking up hiking. We went to Arizona. We went to Sedona and Scottsdale a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. Wow.
Love it. I
Um,
love that area so
and
much.
it was so nice. I'd never been. And I was like, let's go. And we had such a great time. So we really started getting into it then. And then earlier this year, we went to Boone, North Carolina, which, if you've been following the news, I mean, that
Mm-hmm.
was one of the
Yeah.
areas that was pretty
Right.
hard hit with the storm. And we went up there in March for anniversary and we started getting back out there. And we were like, we should be doing this all the time. Like, this is just really nice. It's almost like it's meditative, right? So we will pack up one of the dogs. The other one is a little bit more senior, so he doesn't really keep up. But we'll pack up one of the dogs, and then we have so many amazing trails right here in like the Triangle of North Carolina. So I think within our house radius of like 20 miles of our house, there's like 100 trails plus.
Wow. That's incredible.
And so we're kind of like in a very outdoors rich area. And so we just keep picking new ones. And we call it our date hikes. Instead of worrying about a date night, because we are homebodies, we now do date hikes during the day.
No, I love it. I know when I saw one of your posts that said the date hike, which is fun. And I think any time that you can get with your significant other, whether it's hiking or the grocery store, I did a little post on Sunday. We were at the car wash together. Like we each drove our separate cars. So this is how funny it is. Because he needed a car wash, I needed one as well. So we each drove separately, but then we sat next to each other on the inside. It was just
That's funny.
the little things, though, just the
It
littlest
is
things.
little
I think it's
things. It's
important to be able to
definitely.
do it. But I've not gotten my husband into the hiking mode. We were in Arizona last December for the holidays, and we'd considered it, and then COVID, and I was so 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 sick, and we ended up going between Scottsdale and LA because LA is so close, and just doing some adventures over there. But we did not go on any hikes there. But my boys over the years have liked to hike with me, but as they have grown into these teenagers, they're just teenage boys. They don't.
I
Yeah,
can
they're
relate to
not in the hiking mode
that.
with mom unless there's cash maybe involved or some other stuff, but I love it. I think it's just yeah, the meditative piece of it, which is nice. I think just being with the elements and in some of those areas, like there is no phone or cell service either because it's so remote, which I personally have liked.
Yeah,
But it's
actually, when I was out in Sedona and we went to Armstrong Redwood Forest,
yeah.
which apparently it's a long story, probably to go over this, but basically, it's an area of the country that my mom used to go to, and I'd been to it apparently as a child, and I didn't
Huh.
remember, of course.
That's fun.
But we did a little bit of hiking within that. I mean, that was just transformative. Like
Mhm.
I don't even know how else to explain it. Just to be in that environment with these
Mm-hmm.
trees that have been around for so long and they're massive and coming on the East Coast, that we don't have trees like that. So it was just, I think there's something to be said also for going to different parts of the country and experiencing what's local. Like it was just so different from being in Arizona, from being in North Carolina. We're getting ready. After Thanksgiving, we're heading to West Virginia. My husband's from there. And so we're going to check out some trails there near his house. He's like,
Fun.
oh, we'll go
Good for you
back
guys.
to the places that he was a Boy Scout and went hiking on. So I think that's part of the fun is finding these little places that are unique to that region.
Do you have any trail or particular city or location or area that's on a bucket list for you?
Oh, I got a long bucket list, but not so much
You do?
hiking. Most of my
Okay.
bucket list is in
Yeah, what's
Europe
on
and there
your
will
bucket
be,
list then if there's no hiking? I wanna hear.
okay. So definitely Europe. Now I say no hiking, but keep in mind, like we're looking at trips to like trying to get to Italy, and that's going to be more steps than hiking. Like
It will be. You are correct. Yep, working off the
it's
pasta
hiking, but in step
and the
form.
bread.
So, we definitely want to try to get there. That's been on our list. We want to go see the Northern Lights. I
Oh,
don't know
yeah,
if you can
beautiful.
see that,
Yeah,
probably more so than I can. We
yeah,
got a
yeah,
little
we can.
glimpse of it, I think,
Yep.
about a month ago,
Mhm.
but we didn't have nearly enough, and we want to go see it for real. So that's on the list.
Beautiful.
Hawaii's on the list. That would be some fun hiking there, and definitely different hiking there. So,
Good travel spots, though.
I got the
Is your
travel bug.
you have to twist your husband's arm to get him to go hike, or he's pretty
Um,
good with it in the beginning?
so yeah. Does he have
Well,
to
the
watch
reason
this?
why I ask is so
No.
my husband is like almost 6'9" and about 300 pounds. So he is just a big, solid dude. And it's hard on his knees to do some of those pieces. And it's just, it has, I don't think, been as exciting for him, when we've talked about it.
Yeah,
But
no,
that's,
I get that. I think that as he and I have both gotten a little bit older, I think we just are taking better care of ourselves as a whole. We're eating better than we were. We're cutting out certain foods. And so it's sort of aligned with the doctor's recommendation, along with the fact that we really felt like, we can do this thing together
mhm.
and make it fun. So it was a little bit tough. It took a little bit of coaxing and also just for your husband's sake, like I mean, we are not like scaling the side of mountains. Okay. Like we are
Yeah, yeah.
starting
I've seen some
medium
of
to
your pictures.
moderate
I know.
trails,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And you start with where you start. My husband also has had like joint issues and things, but I think that just getting outside, the mental component of being
Mhm.
outside with nature makes up for being a little bit sore afterwards. And we just really, really like taking the time. Unfortunately, we're in a geography that we can do that pretty much year round
Right.
around here, in the
Yeah, and,
Midwest.
so we, being in South Dakota, do not, and this morning I woke up and I think it was 12 degrees, and I don't mind the chill, it's just when we're traipsing through snow, and I have not taken up snowshoeing yet. That is on one of my bucket lists to
Oh
just learn
yeah,
how to do some of those pieces because that would be one heck of a workout, which I'm an early morning riser. I'm up at 4:50 in the morning, I'm at the gym doing my stuff, and then get going. I'm not the peppy either. I just need to get going and just make it happen, to be honest. But I like the early morning pieces, and I feel like when I've done early morning hikes, especially in the summertime, it's the best time and the only time when it gets to be so hot and humid here. And being out in those elements when you are hiking, it is just there's nothing like it. And I absolutely love it. And yeah, it's wet and it's dewy and you're getting like I wear full pants typically because you're getting slashed up depending on how the trail looks, just with different brush. But I enjoy that part of it. I've done some in the fall, but I've not done any of the winter pieces. And my husband, which I agree, I don't usually will go by myself. So I will take either a friend or a partner or somebody else with me just from a safety perspective. But yeah, I absolutely adore it. It's so fun.
I did the same thing, and instead of a date hike, we called it a she hike.
Oh, fun. We did a whole event. We called it Sip Sip Hike. It was actually for one of our financial clients. And they all went, this is how much I love hiking, I tell you. So we kind of created this event. It was for a wealth management team. And they personally did invites to individuals. We had this whole Sip Sip series. So it was Sip Sip Yoga, Sip Sip whatever. And we did a Sip Sip Hike. So they went hiking, they had a lead, and then someone carry up the rear and be able to kind of walk this path. And it wasn't too strenuous at all. But they had like checkpoints and where they got to do little activities along the way. And we got back and we had a whole champagne station and all the things. And they got little bags for hiking. And it was so fun. But the she hike, I like the name of that one.
I really like that. Yeah, I was at and I just joined MPI locally,
Okay, yeah.
and so I'm going to give Heather a shout out. Heather Hansen O'Neill is a speaker that presented on the elements and about infusing nature into your events, and she would have loved that example. It was just really, really interesting. It was about understanding nature as like different personalities and how it all ties together, but also how do you infuse these elements and which elements will drive, for example, a sales kickoff versus uniting a team, or just providing a respite from day to day. And so it was really interesting. She loved that we're talking about hiking, but she does like the jumping out of airplanes part, and I draw the line.
Oh, yeah, that is not any, yep, I'm out. I used to, like, I loved amusement parks when our boys were younger. Our boys might have a 15-year-old and then a 12-year-old, so they're not that old, but I loved it. And as I continually get older, I can't do it. I cannot do the high roller coaster pieces. I can't do the things. And for sure, I've never been one to say I'm going to jump out of an airplane either. There's just too much. Nope, not doing it.
Yeah, I like staying on the ground.
Yeah.
Too much more
Nope,
than
not for
getting
me.
up there.
Nope, not on my side. Well, you tell Heather if she wants any ideas for Sip Sip hiking. I got her.
Yeah, well,
got
I
her
mean, I'm
covered.
sure she would love examples. So maybe you'll have to send those to me, and I can send them to her,
I'll
and she can
send
share them
over.
out with her folks, because she's sharing examples of how different companies have infused nature into their events.
Yeah, we love it. What is coming up for you? Like, tell me big things for you personally, work-wise. Any cool speaker pieces coming up?
Oh my goodness.
Do you try to take
Well,
some
my
time off around
son
the
and his
holiday?
girlfriend are buying a house
Oh,
here in
good.
Raleigh.
That's exciting.
That's exciting. So excited for them to do they're going to close sometime in December. And so excited for them to do their walkthrough, and I'm going to have to resist the urge to want to like do all the things, but really, really proud of him. It's their first house,
Oh,
and
that's exciting for
so
them.
excited. So that's coming up soon. And then, as I like to joke, like we have a pretty large family. I've got 4 kids between the two of us, grown kids and 2 grandkids. So when they all come in right after Christmas, it is like the circus coming to town, because it's like whoosh, and they all come in. And so it's a couple of days
In and
of
out.
just like blessed chaos happening. And then when everybody goes home, we're like, all right, quiet. Nobody talks for at least like 2 hours. But it's so good to have everybody here and bring people together for the holidays like that. I wish we could do it more.
Well, good for you. I think it's time for people to step back and just to recognize like it's okay to just be during this time.
Oh
And I
yeah.
know the hustle and bustle is real. Our industry, your industry, it's a go, go, go constant. And I think it's just a much, much needed time. We close for about the last week and a half of the year. There's a nice perk and benefit of what we offer our teammates, but it's also just a nice time to reset for us and just to be present in those moments. My husband owns his own company as well. And over the years, so we're 11 years in, he's close to that. And we've just always just appreciated being out of school, our boys being gone out of school, and then just spending time together. And it's not like I'm not popping on my email. There's certain things that I will do. But for the most part, it's just a nice step away from all that we do.
Yeah, it goes so fast, especially at those ages. I mean, I don't want to tell you. Mine are probably about a decade older. And so all of those moments, and taking the time now to have those moments with them, even when they don't want to go hiking, getting them to do something.
Jennifer, what would you tell my boys now? Speak to them. Will and
Mm.
Calvin, what do you want to say to them about hiking with their mom?
Oh my gosh, what would I
Jen,
tell
the stage
them?
is
You tell them
yours.
it'll make them stronger, and the girls will really like it.
There we go. They're all about the girls. There we go. It'll make their calves look super, super.
Right. I mean, and then they could be like, yeah, we're hiking this weekend. They can talk it up.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I am so grateful for our time together. It went
Oh,
quick.
yeah.
Before I let you go, though, I have one question that I want to ask you. So, Ariana our producer, has put together this stack of questions here. In this stack, there's questions I have no clue what they are. Some of them we've asked.
Great.
If a past guest, yeah, they're always, this is the unscripted part. Remember? Unscripted. So I have no idea what I'm going to ask you. So here we go. Do you like surprises?
I have to now. I do love surprises. Let's go.
I do too. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Oh, this is interesting. If you were a cartoon character, what would your signature outfit be?
Wow.
That's a hard one.
That's a
Ariana,
hard one.
do you want to
What would my
pass?
signature
No, I don't.
outfit
You
be?
can't pass.
Okay, so I'm a little more self-conscious than, so I would not do one of those big revealing things.
Like
Um,
the whole leotard situation with
yeah, there's not, no,
yeah.
those days have passed. So, I would probably want something a little more spunky, but think like 80s spunky,
Oh yeah, fun.
possibly a cute hat. I hope that you're not going to ask me what my superpower would be because that I have no idea. But I
No.
would, thinking like, 80s John Hughes movies,
Oh
kind of,
yeah, John Hughes movies.
yeah, something like that with a little bit of attitude, but,
I think you could
80s
be like a
attitude.
Daphne, like Scooby Doo outfit too. You know,
Yeah, maybe.
you
Or
could be
like,
like a
I'm thinking like
Daphne.
Ali Sheedy, or, oh my gosh, Ducky.
No, I know what you're talking about. No, 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 I do.
Yeah, just something a little more with a little more character to it. Um, but yeah, something that it's more cute, not revealing. It has to be comfortable. Has to be comfortable. Because I mean, if I'm going to be a superhero, I'm gonna be busy.
I'm gonna
Um,
say I will email you over. A few years ago, we did just a little like Halloween dress up at the office, and I was Mrs. Incredible. So I will show you what that unitard. Well, it wasn't even unitard. Well, it was a
yeah.
one piece situation. So it wasn't like I had separate tights for the separate unitard thing or leotard thing or whatever it was. And it had boots and all the things, but I'm going to send it to you. I felt very confident in it because it was like a onesie in a sense. So it wasn't all these separate things. Now I turned around and it made me look so like saggy butt-wise because it was a unitard and or this one piece, not like a tight-fitting Jane Fonda situation. But I'm gonna send that to you. You'll laugh. But I killed it. I rocked it. Not gonna lie. It was
I'm sure
great.
you did.
It
The
was
last time
great.
I wore tights for a Halloween costume, I was Big Bird and I had yellow tights and yellow feathers, and I was molting all over the office. Like they kept
Oh,
finding feathers in the bathroom, in the hallways. Yeah, it was that was probably about 8 years ago.
you're not asked back to wear that outfit.
Do not,
Oh
never
my
again.
gosh. Well, thanks for joining us today. I'm excited. I'll continue following along all your hiking journeys. I'll have to fill you in on what Will and Calvin say about hiking. We'll see if we can get them out
Yes,
there.
I want to know what the ladies think about them
Yeah,
hiking.
exactly. See, boys, Jen wants to know. So we'll make it happen. But for those that are tuning in, be sure to check back with us every other Thursday on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or YouTube. Until then, cheers. Thanks for listening to this episode of Uncorked and Unscripted. Make sure to follow and rate this podcast wherever you're watching or listening. Stay connected with us by following us on social media at Uncorked Unscripted on Instagram and Facebook, and at Uncork Unscript on Twitter and TikTok. And if you really enjoyed this episode, do us a huge favor and send it to a friend. See you soon. Bye.